Scott Golden, Golden Opportunities Coaching, and the @PO Perception Twitter account here. Today we're going to talk about finding and maintaining your dream job. Finding your dream job is one of the most important things that a person can do because about a third of your life is spent at the workplace. And so, what is a dream job? It's a job that you can do without it feeling like work on a continual basis. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't ultimately work at it or work to improve yourself. But when it comes from the point of passion, when you are giving back to people from a place of service, you're living that dream job. Now, here's an interesting fact. The average person changes careers or focuses in a professional sense 7 times in their adult lifetime. So, generally speaking, a lot of that has to do with the inability of the average individual to find their dream job. Now, what is a dream job? Truthfully, all it is a way to use gifts and talents and abilities in a way that gets you paid. So often I work with people in my coaching practice, about a good 40 to 45% of what I do is career related coaching, and most often people say things like, I thought this job was going to make me happy, or I thought that the money I make was going to make up for some of the less than desirable aspects of the position itself, and it doesn't happen. And so then what we begin to see is people who are completely dissatisfied with the process of connecting professionally, and you see workplace disengagement at an all-time high. Now, why is that? One, the structure of a job has to be conducive to a person growing and contributing in a way that makes sense to them. The money alone is not going to keep a person satisfied. Finding one's dream job is something that they would do for free, that they can become paid for. That's the simplest form. The other factor is, if you do not feel that you can constantly be growing in that field, in other words, there's new knowledge, there's new skill sets, there's new responsibilities, there's new ways to do things, there's new technology or something that's expansive that causes you to need to be able to grow and develop new skills and or new relationships, one is more likely by about a third, a little bit more, to disengage from the job eventually. This is because in order to fill the void of purpose that exists when a job becomes something that can be done from a habitual place, an individual must feel that something is growing within their professional sector. It's also important to understand that having multiple streams of income is more important now than ever before in human history. The average person has at least, according to research, 3 streams of income, be it from a business venture, be it from a side hustle, be it from a service-based venture, plus their main profession, and or individuals holding multiple professional appointments, be it either full-time or part-time. If the average person in the Western world has 3 forms from which they draw income, this means that the days of a person doing only one thing, be it residual income, online or offline, and or a traditional, number of hours worked job, is dying. It's a model that exists and is there for those who are nearing retirement age. So let's say folks over the age of 40 on average are expected to be the last generation of individuals where a single income source, except for high level professionals, lawyers, doctors, and the like, will be the norm. The expectation is that by 2035, nearly 71% of the workforce will have one form or another of entrepreneurial income. This is because as machines replace the need for people to do jobs that are service based, as robots and other automated service providers can do things like, for example, automated phone calls instead of a receptionist or something like that. We ultimately will have not less jobs, but jobs that require a person's personal input will become more important over time. So, another factor for an individual to consider when selecting a career is, what can I be passionate about, learning about, and serving through in order to make a real maximum impact and an income that matters to me. The setting of goals as it relates to income is also exceptionally important, in part because the average person must figure out, is the work that I'm going to do conducive to the lifestyle I want to live? Most often, people think based on income first and lifestyle second, and that works for a number of years. But as life changes, a person takes on a relationship that's more serious, they buy a home that needs maintenance, they have children, they have aging relatives or parents that need their care. The work only mentality becomes extremely difficult. So, what happens is an individual needs to look at the possibility that they can ultimately transition with their skill set into something that gives them more scheduling flexibility. The problem is, most people have been conditioned to believe that learning ends with the accomplishment of a college degree or postgraduate degree. This is not the case. As a matter of fact, the more one is willing to expand into learning different things, the easier it is to find a professional sense of purpose. Furthermore, the skills and services for money mentality, which has cropped up certainly since the dawn of the internet, is showing no signs of slowing down. Now, obviously, politically speaking, there are many challenges to starting one's own business, but even if the business is started from the place of just being something to put extra income or allow for saving, it also has been proven that when a person can use their skills and talents to make money, they really are giving themselves a sense of higher purpose. Now, this may not work for every individual, and certainly the skill set of time management is more important in an entrepreneurial venture than ever when someone is responsible for making money from their own hand. However, one must also look at, if they are going to work for a company, if they are going to work for a organization, they have to make sure that the values they hold matter in conjunction with the job they're doing. Most often, people talk about feeling like they are undersupported in the workplace, and or feeling like workplace conflicts on a personal level or on a philosophical level with superiors is one of the main reasons for workplace disengagement. Therefore, it is essential to make sure when you are choosing a career that it can be transferred into other areas of the country should you desire to move, other areas of expertise, in other words, the balance of time being spent differently or handled in a different manner. The ability to make sure that everything goes according to plan is also something to consider as it relates to, is the trend growing for the industry or is it lessening? When you choose a dream job, you have to make sure that there's multiple ways to establish a way to make money with that skill set should the industry change. When you can look at something and say, I'm interested in learning about or growing with this opportunity regardless of how I can make money with it, then you have found your dream job. You must consider also how introverted or extroverted you are. If you are a highly extroverted person, then doing a job that puts you behind a desk is eventually going to lead to a lack of fulfillment. If you are a very introverted person, having a job where you have to go to many meetings or deal with a number of confrontations, presentations, or sales calls might be difficult. The best way to look for a dream job or a job that allows you to really use your skills is also to look at what comes natural to you. What do people say you're good at? What do people say you're naturally adept at when you are trying to go through your daily life? When someone gives that advice, study a couple of things. Is there a way to mentor with an individual to reach that skill? Because if you can mentor under somebody, you're going to learn far more than you will in a traditionalized learning environment, be it an online college or a traditional learning college or secondary educational institution. This is because learning by doing and learning through knowledge is essential, and one of the things that has been proven is the more mentorship a person has, the more likely they are to maintain and retain information. When a person feels they can maintain and retain information, it is easier for them to put the same information into a level of usage in practical everyday life. Obviously, there are requirements for certain professions that deal with the need for education or certification or proof of mastery, but the issue with that ultimately becomes what a person is focused upon really has to be something they're willing to commit to completely. If an individual is not willing to complete the educational process with a joyful heart and a steadfast focus, then it is unlikely that the work related to the profession will fulfill the individual, because many of the styles of things and needs for things to be learned, be it textbook knowledge, isn't even implemented in the use of or the practical application of the needs of the field. So ultimately, this leads to quite a number of challenges, including but not limited to people going into a job that is not what they think it is, and then needing to reinvent themselves. When you are looking for your ideal career or dream job, one of the things you must do is to be able to see whether or not what you believe the job is actually what is required of you once you have taken the proper educational methods into account. Talking with individuals who are doing the job, seeing how many places are willing to employ a person with the skill set, and figuring out how to master the skill of interviewing is also important before even starting an educational approach. Because if you do not know how to speak the language and lingo of individuals in a given industry, one of the biggest misnomers in all of professionalism is the idea that one needs experience but cannot get experience without often having experience. So there's a catch-22 in many industries where one has to have really strong relationship building skills to even be able to do the dream job. So studying the art of how people communicate, learning to mirror image how an individual communicates, so there's some level of familiarity, and all of that really is useful when trying to obtain professional leveling up. When a person understands how to do that in a meaningful way for them, then they will find their dream job. Now, ultimately, the best advice ever is also understand what your dream is now and what your dream is in the future may change. Be willing to study and grow in accordance with your interest level, and do not lock yourself into the definition of your professional title being the definition of your identity. Most often, the reason people become disenfranchised with their professional performance or professional achievements is because they wrap too much of what they do into who they are. Now, I encourage you, once again, Scott Golden, Golden Opportunities Coaching. If you are here for the first time, subscribe, like, rate this, talk about in the comments if you would like to have some kind of guidance and focus on bettering your career. We can certainly have that conversation. I and my team would be happy to help anybody out there who's struggling with that. Also, we do have our subscriber drive going. Once we get to 100 subscribers, small milestone but a useful one, we will be giving away a $350 package of monthly coaching with me directly. So share, subscribe, like, tell your friends, tell your individuals that matter. And also, if you have a concept or an idea that you'd like to see discussed in a future audio, please comment below. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.